let's get into it. I'm gonna start from scratch, from the repo. So we're gonna make a new repo. I'm gonna call it just Turso test 2, because I already got one. Not gonna do anything with the below stuff for now. So we're gonna create that. Go to our GitHub desktop, or you can use command line if you're feeling froggy. And then we're gonna look for that, Turso 2, and clone. All right, and then I'm gonna get my VS Code over here. VS Code. Okay, this is my original Turso. Let me get a new window. All right. Okay, so we're gonna open our new repo, which is Turso 2. Cool. All right, nothing in here yet, right? Cool. So open our terminal. Again, control tilde or squiggly line. Oh, that is tilde. Backtick. Yep. Okay. All right, cool. So if we ls, we got nothing in here. So we need to go ahead and create our app first. We're going to just do npx create. Next app, and then we're gonna give it a name. I'm just gonna call it Turso 2, Turso test 2 rather. Okay, it's gonna ask the questions that it wants to ask. I'm not gonna do anything fancy here, so no TypeScript, no ESLint, no Tailwind. I am gonna use the source directory. I'm not gonna use the app router, and I'm not gonna use custom defaults. Okay, just gonna do that. Cool. All right, so we're gonna ls. Instead of cding into here, we're actually gonna take, so we have like Turso 2 within the Turso 2 folder, right? So if we look at my Finder, you can see in my GitHub, like most of my stuff, there's a folder within like the main repository folder, which is fine, except for the fact that with deploying Next.js to Vercel, it's going to look at that, the parent direct, like the root route, right? So this thing. So if it has to go into Turso 2 and then into Turso 2, it's going to mess up. So what we're going to do instead is just actually take this stuff and move it outside. So we're not going to move our node modules because we can just make those again. But yeah, highlight everything except the node modules in your folder if you have it embedded like this, and just pull it all out like that and just say move. And then, so all you should have is that main folder with the node modules, so just delete that nested folder, okay? So then we can kill our terminal again, just so it makes sure we can get a fresh terminal that we're on the right line. So then if we ls, we're on the right line. We got our package.json, so we can do our npm install here, right? Beautiful. Okay, so now if we do our npm run dev, we should get just a basic Next.js application. Let's see. Beautiful. All right, cool. So that works. So now I'm going to go ahead and kill this because we're about to install a bunch of stuff. All right. At this point, we have our just beginner application, or nothing we've done to it yet. Do go to Turso, and I'll put all the links in here. We go to Turso, go ahead and make an account. It's going to use your GitHub, so it can pull in your. Actually, it'll use your GitHub for your login, but it won't pull anything in because this is just a database. So yeah, make an account. It's free, and then we'll come back and use this here in just a little bit. Cool. So back to the code. All right, we are going to install some stuff, and I'll put these in the notes as well. But what we got is we're going to install a Prisma client so we can interact with Prisma. We're going to install Prisma itself. We're going to install libsql client, which libsql is a flavor of SQLite that is used with Turso. So it's just like you've probably heard of MongoDB, Postgres, things like that. These are kind of flavors of different database types. And then we're going to use this Prisma adapter-libsql because Turso, let's see where it went, right here. So it's early access, you see up there it says early access. This is how Turso is used with Prisma, so these are Prisma docs. And so we needed that right here, that Prisma adapter bit. Cool, so yeah, so we got Prisma client, Prisma at libsql client, and then at Prisma, blah, blah. Okay, let's get those bad boys installed. Da, da, da. Okay, cool. All right, now we have our, we're gonna do our Prisma init, right? So our npx, Prisma init, Prisma init. Now your projects probably already have this, because if you're using Prisma, so you may not need to do this if you already have your Prisma folder. If you don't, you need to go ahead and do this to initialize Prisma. So we'll run that, and then you can see up here, now we have our Prisma folder with our schema, and then also it made a .env file, okay? And this is where we're gonna update our database to be SQLite, okay? Yeah, so we'll go ahead and do that now. We will go to, let me steal it from over here. So for running locally, you're gonna replace this env with just the file.dev.db, which is, if you're already using Prisma in here, you probably already have this done. But this just tells it in your schema, it's gonna say the URL here under data source, like where to go and find it. So the env of database URL is in the env file, database URL, right? So those match, that's where this comes from. Cool, so then let's go ahead and update our schema itself. So we're gonna do a couple things. So where it says Postgres here, you gotta put SQLite, so it's SQLite. So now, locally, this is set up. We do need to add our actual model. So I'm just gonna do my user model, which I will paste in here. So just an ID, auto increment ID, and then a name and an email. So it has to be unique. Yeah, so that's good for now. For locally running it. Yep. So now we can go ahead and do our migrate for Prisma. And again, this is all just Prisma stuff at this point. None of this has to do with Turso. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do our npx Prisma migrate, and you can add dev because it's we're just developing, and then the name flag here, the -- name, allows you to put a name on this migration. Okay, so I just called it init. You could call it first, whatever you want, first migrate, whatever. But I'm just going to use init. Okay, all right, cool. So we run this. There you go, and then you'll see now we have this migrations folder. So if you go into here, you see that it added init on the end there because that's what I named it. And this migration is the actual thing that it makes. Okay, so that's hooks it all together to make it pretty cool. All right, and then to actually make it all work, you got to generate it. So we're gonna do our npx Prisma generate. Right there. Cool, well, successful. All right, so now Prisma is hooked up. We got SQLite going, all locally here on our machine, not in Turso or Vercel or anything like that yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a route. And again, you probably might already have a route and everything, depending on what you're working with. So I'm just going to make a users route, users.js. And I'm just going to paste some code in here. Okay, and in this code, there's some stuff that we're going to need later, but we're not going to do right now. So I'm going to comment out this stuff that's actually for Turso, which we don't need yet. And then I'm going to uncomment this bit down here. So this is for just Prisma to work. You have to have that Prisma client, right? And this is just going to go in, find all the users, and then if I want to create a user, it's going to do that on the post. So the get's going to get all the users, post is going to post. Okay, cool. So then I'm going to change my index.js. This is where we're seeing that basic next well, it's not running, but this was that next page, right? Like the boilerplate one that comes with it. So I'm going to paste some code in there. And this is going to be just my fancy little form with the add user and stuff like that, right? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and run it again. That's my npm run dev. Okay, make sure it starts with any errors. Go back in there. And then you'll see I got my little guy here, right? Cool. So let's see if we can add some name in here. And add user. Cool. So this is, again, locally in your SQLite database, it's being added. So our API route's working, it's being added. Whenever we go to this initially, so if we refresh, and we'll see it's there still. So it's being retrieved initially in our code, which all that is just right here. We have a use effect that grabs them right there, and then we have a post here that posts them, right? Cool. So just very, very kind of simple little form there. All right, fun. So most of that you likely already have done. If not, yeah, follow along and just kind of make this little thing, and it'll be cool. All right, so now the fun. So now what we want to do is we want to show people, right? We want to say, hey, check out my cool thing I made. And we want it to work. So we're going to do the database part first, so Turso, right? And then we'll do the Vercel. So Vercel is where the application will go. Turso is what's going to host the database. Okay. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, is we're going to go to Turso, and we're going to create our database. Okay. So let's get Turso here. And so I've already created this database, but you just say create database up here, right? Just give it a name or whatever. And then it's just going to look like this. Let's go back here. So on the main page here, you'll see down here, copy URL. Okay. We're going to need that. And then we're also going to need a token to connect to this database. Okay. So go ahead and hit the copy URL button there. It's going to copy it for you. And then we're going to go into our code, back into our env file, and we are going to add the Turso database URL environment variable. Okay. And remember, environment variables are like secret keys, basically, because you're not going to upload. You should not upload this .env file. It should be ignored, which I don't think it is and might get ignored. So I'm going to add it here. If it's not added, just add it like this, okay? And then you'll see that it'll kind of go gray. You don't ever want to post that or push that up to GitHub because then people can steal your stuff and cost you money or do all sorts of stuff, especially if it's like a production app or something. Bad news bears. Okay. But we do, we want to put it here so we can test locally and things like that. I'll show you, we're going to actually put it in Vercel, so that way Vercel can see it, not the env file, but the env keys and values. So then they can see it, they'll have it, and then they can attach to Turso through that, okay? Cool. So in here, it's just going to be Turso database URL, and then let me just double check that I did copy that. Copy there. Okay, and paste here. Okay, cool. And again, it's libsql because that is the flavor that they use for their SQLite. Okay, all right, cool. The other one we need is the auth token. All right, so we're gonna grab this here and equals, and then that you're gonna just do create database token. And yeah, just leave these alone, it's fine. Create token. Make sure that you copy this right now because you can't get it again. You'll have to use a different one. So just hit copy and then go back over here and paste it in here. It's really long. Okay, cool. So these two pieces of information are what is going to allow us to connect to Turso from wherever we want to connect from, in our case from Vercel. Okay, sweet. All right. Now the only other thing we need to update is in our schema, instead of the database URL, which is what we were using right here for locally, we want it to be that Turso database URL, okay? So this is for when we're messing with Turso. Cool, cool, all right, cool. All right, so we're gonna paste that right in there. Okay, we needed to uncomment those things in our app route or API route. So now that we're using Turso instead of the local SQLite, we need to add these things, and these are what were on the that Turso documentation. So right here on this the early access page. So this stuff right here is basically what we're putting in. Okay. All right, cool. So we got this create client here, which is using those env files that we told it to use, or not files, strings that we told it to use. And then also we need our adapter, and then we need to comment out or delete this guy, okay? So the adapter is what is passed into the Prisma client to let it know, hey, we're gonna do this Turso stuff, okay? And that's why earlier, you remember we installed these packages, and that was so we could do this bit right here. Our schema, we need the preview features flag for our client. Yep. So just like this, it's driver adapters. So this again was on that Turso page. We need this to like allow that driver adapters preview feature since it's a beta thing. We need to log into Turso. So we're gonna do Turso auth login. And I'm already signed in, so it's good to go. If not, it would take, I think it would take you to the link, or a link would take you to the login, and you just log into the site. Okay, the next command we're gonna do, what it does is actually take our schema and send it to Turso. So that way Turso will have what we have there. So this is gonna be Turso db shell, and then the name of your database that you made on Turso. So mine, you can see, is just users, okay? All right, cool, so shell users, and then we're gonna do a less than sign, I think, whichever, the arrow pointing to the left. And then we're gonna do Prisma. This is gonna be the path to your migration, okay? So Prisma, which is my Prisma folder, right? / migrations / and then you got to go into this migration, whichever migration it is you have. So you should be able to hit tab here, and it's going to offer you those. So if you want the first one, you can just hit tab. So hit tab, okay? And then we actually need the migration file, so migration.sql, which if you just do like mig and then tab, it's going to finish it for you. So again, this is going to, oh, I have a typo. I put dv. I need db. Okay. db. Okay. Yeah. So this is gonna. So you're logged into the Turso shell, right? db shell. Your database name, and then you're gonna send basically this migration file to Turso. Okay. So hit enter. Connecting database. Okay, we have an error. Okay, because I've already made a user table, and so that's what this would do, is it would make a user table. So if this is your first time doing it, you probably should not get that error. Since I already have it, let me see if I can just delete it. So within Turso, there's two ways you can edit your data. You can use Outerbase, or you can use Drizzle. I've been using Drizzle because it just seemed good enough. I didn't even look at Outerbase. Okay, so we have this table here, user, right? So if I just go ahead and kill this guy, so I'm gonna drop it. Okay, cool. So now, if I run the same command, so just push up, then it should hopefully work. Yep, cool. So no error there. So now if I go back to Turso and I just hit refresh, then I've got my user table back. Completely empty, so if I had any records I needed to keep, that would have sucked. So in our build script, we're changing it to next build && Prisma generate. So it's going to run these two commands when we do npm run build, or when Prisma, or when Vercel does npm run build. Cool. All right, fantastic. So that's the Turso bit. Turso's working. We saw it in our application, or in our app here, right? So let's see if we have any. So I'm going to do the SQL thing. This, y'all didn't learn any SQL, but this is just selecting all from our user table. So if we run this now, it is only got one record, okay? So that's the one we made, but it is working. So our Turso SQLite database is working. Cool. We're going to go ahead and push our changes to our GitHub, and then make our Vercel instance, or our Vercel deployment. Cool. All right, GitHub desktop, here I am. Again, everything is on that main root route. We took it all out from the inner Turso test 2. So it's all on the root route, okay? And we're ignoring our env, which we're done in our get ignore here, okay? Also, it ignores next and node modules. You shouldn't push your node modules because they're so big. So when someone tries to clone or fork your repo and they get all those, it's going to take a long time for it to download. So you never want to push those up, okay? And you can see at the top here, node modules are gone, and then right here, the next folder's gone, okay? These get reproduced whenever npm install is ran or the build command is ran. Okay, all right, cool. So GitHub desktop, cool. I'm gonna say init initial commit. Okay, we're gonna push it. Just using my main branch, no big deal. All right, committing it to main, and then I'm gonna go ahead and publish and push this branch to GitHub. Beautiful. All right, so I've got github.com. Right here, my Turso 2, just give it a refresh. It's all here. Beautiful. Okay. All right, now the money maker. Let's get rid of all these local hosts here. And we're going to go to Vercel, which this is Vercel. So when you go to Vercel, you'll need to create an account. It's going to use your GitHub because it's going to look at your repositories, just like you did in Netlify. So yeah, make sure you got an account. It's free, and then you'll come in here and you're gonna just add new. Okay. You don't have to mess with any of this other stuff for now. So just do add new and just do add new project, and it's gonna want to import from Git. So I've got my Turso 2 here. So we're gonna do import, and then it's gonna want a project name. If Next.js is not here, then you want to pick Next.js for the framework, and then this is the root directory I kept talking about. This is where it's going to look for your code, so you want to have it on that root. Okay, we are going to add environment variables. That's what's in your .env. So if we go back to our code, .env, we're going to grab the key here, and we're going to put it here. And then we're going to grab that value right there, and we're going to put it there. And then we're going to add one more for that token. So get the auth token and go back in there. And that's going to be a new one right here. And then get the value here. Okay. And put it there and add it. Okay, cool. So we got our two envs, right? Our environment variables. Cool. So yeah, we got our name, we got our framework, we got our root, and our .env environment variables. So we're gonna hit deploy, cross our fingers. We'll see what happens. Here we go. You can look at the build logs as it's going and kind of see what it's doing. So you see it clone the repo. It ran its Vercel build, installed dependencies, which is your packages. And then you see here it ran npx or next build and Prisma generate, because you remember we changed that npm run build command. It jumped on me. Yeah, so we changed that run build command to have next build and Prisma generate. Oh, all right, cool. Looks like it worked. Sweet. Okay, and we can go back to that that deal in a minute. I'm gonna click on it. We'll see. Okay, this looks good. Oh, see there, we already got a user. So that's the user that we had in Turso, right here. So rock and roll. That did it the first time. Pretty amazing. Yep. So we can add another one. So I'll add myself for real. Done. So add. See if it works. It worked. Cool. And then we can go back to Turso again, and we can do select all here. Bam, we got it. So we have a full stack next app running on Turso. On Vercel, talking to our SQLite database on Turso. Okay, using Prisma, which is the ORM. Remember, ORM, Object Relational Mapping, something like that. Cool. Yeah, so it worked. That's awesome.